Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for Tower of God. Well, I almost said manga chapter. So used to saying that. Tower of God chapter 366, though, season 2, episode 286. I mentioned in the live reaction that I really liked it, especially the combat, and that pretty much holds true. So we're going to talk about this part by part, go through some different things, where I think it might be headed, because going back and rereading it, I still like the chapter itself quite a lot, but I don't know, maybe I have some issues with where I think it may be heading. Either way, let's go ahead and talk through most of this. We start off with Zahard still questioning who Bomb is. Should have just thrown out Jovial Grace. Oh, Nani the fuck Grace? So I think that would have been a good way for Bomb to respond there. Bomb tells Andraste to use the Bong Bong because, as we've said repeatedly, Andraste is Bong Bong driver. But she's really stunned. She is in a state of shock upon seeing Zahard, so that was no help. Don't know whether that's because she has some sort of knowledge of him from her past, where she's like, oh, this is a scary dude because I know of some terrible thing he did in front of me or something, or if it's just the fact that he's Zahard, or maybe it's something to do with her having Princess's blood is why she was stunned, or it could even be something to do with the Snake Charmer. So, who knows? Lots of possibilities, but I like that characters other than Bomb are getting a little bit of development out of this. So Kun, Barrow, and Irude finally arrive. Zahard goes to attack, but his attack is thwarted by Eduan's arrival. Agro Agnes confirms it is his father, but weaker. He's like, of course, I've seen this power before, except stronger than this. But Eduan keeps calling Zahard a fake the entire time, says that Zahard was an adventurer, not a king, which I kind of like that. I kind of like that, I don't know, that showing of what their bond used to be, or what he thought of Zahard as a person. So that's cool in itself. And now we kind of know that the 10 great families aren't the best of things, so it isn't just Zahard that turned evil. The 10 great families are kind of corrupt as well. So who knows if Eduan in the real world outside of the hidden floor, if Eduan is corrupt as well, or if this is sort of like what the real Eduan is now and he's still a good guy. Because he, from what we've heard of his family, he doesn't actually seem like that great a guy. So who knows really. But Yuan Sung then finally makes it there. Eduan tells Marco to open up a mirror and get them out of there. Zahard tries to stop them from leaving, but then we get Zahard versus Eduan really quickly. The fight was probably my favorite part. It looked really good. Zahard's attack name sucked, but I think that could be on Line's translation, where it was like, what was it, Golden Needle from Mystery Island or something like that? That is such a bad attack name. But I read a bunch of stuff discussing the Line translation on Reddit and some forums and on the wiki. I saw a bunch of people, including the person who does the translations for the blog post, talking about different stuff. And gold in Zahard's attacks and stuff, it seems to be a pun on diamond, because I think the first character used in diamond is a character that can mean gold, and it's sort of a double play on words where it's like super hardened material, but also the golden color that comes along with Zahard. So it's sort of a play on words, purposefully, I believe. Then there's this giant glass or ice or something that rains from the sky to block off their path, but I went back multiple times trying to figure out what did that actually come from. I didn't think it was from the glass. I didn't think it was the glass from the dome just happening to fall later at that time and landing just perfectly in front of them to block their path. It seemed like it came from someone. I don't know if it came from Zahard or if Huang was hiding somewhere and it was Huang that did it. I have no idea where it came from, to be honest. So yeah, there's giant glass or ice, whatever, raining down, and it's kind of unclear where it's from. I'm thinking maybe Zahard, though, or maybe Siu forgot and left something out because of something he said in the blog, but I'll get to that when I get to it. Zahard says, doesn't matter if you leave, I still have a hostage. I'm assuming he's talking about Wang in there. And then Eduan stops this all by making a bet that he can train Bomb to beat Zahard within just a month. That makes me think this is a little bit repetitive. We just saw this happen not that long ago with Joaquin, where Bomb had to train for a month to beat Joaquin. But whatever. I thought the fight was cool, like I said, my favorite part. And I'm just hoping this isn't leading to another power-up for Bomb, because that leads into the problem that the series has been having, where instead of developing Bomb as a character, we're developing him by just throwing power-ups on him. And by doing that, we're also forgetting to develop his side characters, his allies. And even at this point, we're seeing Eduan and Zahard look like a whole level above what Agro Agnes or what Bomb could do. And to an extent, they should be stronger to show, okay, this guy's the king, this other guy's an irregular and a head of a family. Even at that age, even at the time they were at the Hell Train, they were hella strong. But they shouldn't be so strong that it seems like Bomb's allies couldn't possibly beat them, or else later on down the line, it's like, are Bomb and his allies really any sort of threat or any sort of equal rival to overcome and be the next generation that beats Zahard and the 10 family heads? Because right now, Bomb and his team, to be at the same point in the tower as them, it doesn't seem like they're anywhere near their power. So I think maybe Zahard and Eduan are being portrayed as too strong here, but I don't know. And I'm hoping it's just not random power-ups. So stuff in the blog, I did mention earlier, what was it? Because I forgot to write it down. Oh yeah, he said originally the stuff in this chapter was going to be spread out over 2 chapters, but he thought it was a little bit long, so he condensed it into just this 1 chapter so he could move on to the next part of things. So I'm thinking maybe that's why it seems that the glass came out of nowhere. Maybe in his condensing of things he actually left something out. But I'm not sure. And I'm kind of glad this was condensed, because this was a good chapter. But it wasn't like an amazing chapter where I'm like, oh, we could have definitely spread that over 2 chapters. Like we've had in the past, some that were super long and super good, where I'm like, that could have been 2 chapters worth of content or more. This, I think, would have been a little bit dragged out if it was 2 full chapters of this. But either way, also the running story of the blog to me is that, I say it all the time, so I'm trying not to harp on it too much, but CU needs to take breaks. I always bring up Oda. I always bring up, hey, take a week off every few weeks. Take a week off every month or something. But in the blog, it's constantly, oh, I'm sick with this. Oh, I'm in bad shape because of this. Oh, he's got a cold now. His wrist is still bothering him. Of course, being an artist and drawing all this amazing art every single week, it's just seriously too much. And I hope it's not Naver or whatever that's pushing him, that says he needs a release every single week and he can't take these weeks off. I seriously think he needs weeks off every once in a while, because there is no way. Not only is this obviously not healthy, because we're seeing the effects on him constantly being sick with this or that, or being injured from this or that. It's just asking for stuff like that to happen. I really think CU needs to take breaks, but I've said it a million times, so I guess I'm not going to say it again too much. He mentions in the blog that Eduan is like Ultimate Form Ron. He says that he covered the capital in storm clouds once, so we know that there's a capital, I guess, of Zahard's empire. And I don't know if this happened just once, because he said there was an instance where it happens. I'm assuming that means once. Or if it's still just covered in storm clouds. No idea, but I doubt it's still just covered in storm clouds. Also, he brings up that gold in Tower of God, or at least what they call gold, isn't the same as real world gold. It's similar, it's a metal, it's the same color, but it's a lot harder. It's as hard as diamond, or basically unbreakable. So, he brings up that that's the way it is. Also, with a lot of the stuff I read, the translation for Shinsu Black Hole Sphere or Shinwanryu is, I think that's the actual Korean is Shinwanryu. It is so wonky, and I've mentioned it, I brought it up before, but getting a comment talking about Shinsu Black Hole Sphere and me bringing up how it's terribly translated and that leads to some confusion on what it is, I actually want to bring it up and talk about it a bit here, actually. So, the confusion is a lot of people think it's just a move when it's a technique for controlling Shinsu. It's not that Bomb has a special move that's the Shinsu Black Hole Sphere, which sounds like a move name where the confusion comes from. It's a technique, and there was a person who kept translating it as, like, Divine Circular Flow, which is a much better translation. And I read a bunch of discussions on it on Reddit and stuff, where I think it was the person that translates the blog broke it down into the 3 characters mean, what was it? Shinwan Ryu. It means like divine. It means like godlike or divine, and then the second character means original, I believe, and the third means flow or technique. So again, it's divine circular technique or divine original technique. That makes a lot more sense than black hole sphere. I have no clue. Line makes a lot of these weird translations that I'm very critical of Line a lot of the time, because I'm like, why in the world would they change this, or why in the world would they translate this way? Especially some things where they change in their own translation. They'll call a character by this name sometimes, and then later on they'll translate the character's name as something else. Black hole sphere is just not at all, not even nearly a good translation of what it means or what it is. I feel like divine circular flow or divine original flow, any of that is better, because like people brought up, whenever Bomb uses, he kind of uses often where he's like Yuhan Sung Ryu, which would be Yuhan Sung style or Yuan Sung flow, and we see that translated as Yuan Sung style or Yuan Sung flow when he uses those moves. And it just shows that it's a different way of using Shinsu. It's not a special attack or anything. So I have problems with how that's translated. And see, most stuff, I don't know, should I start calling it divine circular flow instead of black hole sphere? Because I mentioned in the comment when I was talking to whoever it was in the comments, I say that I always call it black hole sphere anyway, even though that's a terrible translation, because I feel like if I use divine circular flow instead, a lot of people aren't going to get it. They're not going to know what I'm talking about, because most people thankfully use Line for it, because though I'm very critical of the translation, it's an official translation that gets some support for CU. So I just don't know. It's a bad translation. I don't know what I should use. I guess give me your opinions down in the comments, because for most things, like I say Zahard rather than Zahard, but everybody knows what I mean. I just think that Zahard is a lot better name. It is a better translation, even though there's not really that much of a difference. I prefer Zahard. Or Kun is one. I see some people spell it Khun, some people spell it Kaon, and I have found myself where I just use it interchangeably. I spell it either way and it doesn't really matter. Or Andrasi, I always say Andrasi instead of Endorsi, because I think Endorsi sounds like a really stupid name. And the actual Korean, I think, depending on how you would do the accent, it's like Andarasi or something like that. So I think Andrasi or Endorsi, either one is arguably a good translation for English, but I prefer Andrasi because it's a hell of a lot better name than Endorsi. Or I always say, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I say Irure and Lure for the Fonsicals. But at first they translated Laro, Lauroe, and then I think sometimes they use Lure, which is how the original translators that were unofficial translated it. So I just say Lure. I'm not sure if that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, and I do the same for Irure, because they first translated it as Irure, but now they've dropped the O from that, so it's just Irure. So again, not sure how they want to that's another example of them changing their own translation over time. So I have no idea, I just go with that. So Shinsu Black Hole Sphere, Divine Circular Flow, I could go either way. Tell me your opinions on how the translation works with that, or what you would like to just call it among us, even if they obviously are going to keep calling it Black Hole Sphere. But yeah, before I leave, gotta give a score for the chapter. I'd give it 8 needles from Mystery Island out of 10. 8 out of 10. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it, but I am a bit, and I like the fight a lot. That was really cool. But I am a bit weary of where it's headed. Don't know if it's going to be a little bit repetitive. Either way, those are my thoughts. If you liked the video, and comment down there with your thoughts to tell me what you thought of this chapter, or what you thought of my thoughts on it. Subscribe for more. Tower of God, much more on the channel. Tons of other things, anime, manga, comics, TV shows. Subscribe if you want for more. Wait, I said that. I just said that. Follow on Twitter if you want. I'll try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel. If you want a link to our Discord server to talk with me, more of us up there, then just ask. Or just ask. I can give you a link to the Discord server. That's it. Thank you once again for watching. I'll see you all next time.